Dr. Kitamura, I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Now, firstly, I'd like to ask you, anthrax terror has continued to grip the United States, and as an expert on the studies of viruses, how do you assess the situation?
Yes, from the microbiological point of view, the anthrax is said to be very hard to be transmitted through air infection. But in the case of U.S. recent incidences in the United States, it is very effectively transmitted. So we think there should be some technological advancement has been incorporated in making it terror attack, including the forming of the equal-sized particles of spores and bacilli to be spread evenly in the air, and even come out from the envelope through your envelope.
Yes, I understand it's very difficult to weaponize anthrax. Would you say that terrorists in general may possess toxic substances such as germs and viruses?
Yes, we know that many countries had their development projects of bioweapons, including anthrax and plague bacilli, the Yersinia pestis, and smallpox virus, and Clostridium botulinum, and hemorrhagic fever virus, Ebola, and Lassa fever virus, and also Hunin, the Argentinian hemorrhagic fever viruses. They are all used for the development of weapons, and they are the candidate microbes used. So, seeing that the sophisticated technology should have been incorporated in the terrorist attack and the anthrax in the United States, we have to expect all these microbes should be in possession by some terrorist organizations.
That's terrible. I mean, all the viruses, some of the viruses you have named are deadly. Well, they are all deadly, and there are no cures at the moment.
Yes. As general, as a virus, as you know, there's no specific therapeutics. That is quite different from the bacteriological warfare. So we should be prepared by the stockpiling of preventive vaccines and the preparedness to start the vaccination as early as possible when the possibility of terrorist attack with special pathogens has been identified.
That's easier said than done. Now, I have been reading a lot of reports about how terrorists have come to possess these toxic substances, but as an expert, how have they really come to possess them? Can you tell us the truth?
I heard that they have already succeeded in developing the technology to deliver microbes through the ballistic missile. After they have exploded the bomb through the ballistic missile, still spores and bacteria and viruses are still alive to be infectious. That if it is used is terrible. And in the small terrorism case, they should be sprayed or dispersed intentionally by many devices. They have already also developed the spreading devices, it is said, through the intelligence agency of British or United States.
And what's terrifying is that since September 11th, we know that if these people have the technology to do this, they will actually do it.
Yes. So we have to identify the source of terrorist activities and their source of resources and technology. So we should be prepared for possible attacks by the candidate microbes. So United States has become alert of these possibilities 3 years after Ken Alibeck witnessed in the Congress of the possibility of these attacks. They have started the stockpiling of smallpox vaccine in 1999, 2 years before. So the Japan has determined to make this preparedness just last week. From the technological point of view, it takes about 1.5 years at least to be prepared or the preparedness against smallpox attacks. It takes about 6 months to rebuild the facilities of producing the smallpox vaccine and staff to be accustomed of the technology. Then the production requires 6 months. Then we have to have another 6 months to confirm its effectiveness and safety. So the earlier the start, the better the results. We have no way of shortening of that time required. So 1 week delay in the start of preparedness will result in the 1 week delay of the preparedness.
In other words, we will have to ask terrorist groups to put their plans on hold if they were to attack Japan.
Yeah, and in the case of, to say, biological terrorism, we have no way of help from other neighboring countries because they have also the possibility to be attacked. So they can facilitate the procurement of Japanese government or necessary resources, but they cannot combat their own stockpiles because they have the responsibility to their own citizens.
Of course, that makes it so different from the situation of, let's say, a major natural disaster.
Right.
Now, Dr. Kishimura, I'd like to ask you about a plan that Japan adopted on Thursday, which is aimed at countering biological and chemical attacks. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. First, the stockpiling or the production and stockpiling of the smallpox vaccine. And meanwhile, awaiting the preparedness of the vaccine stockpile, we should be make up the necessary network of training and to say communicating between public health and law enforcing facilities or authorities, and necessary to say training practices of the smooth working of that network.
So that the public knows.
Yes, and also I would like to advise the news media to work, never to cause panic, to transmit the necessary truth of the situations to all publics. So avoid the unnecessary panic situations. The network should be first established of the training of the, to say, clinicians and healthcare providers, because at the first stage of terrorist attack, the victims who has started the symptoms first visit the local home doctors or local clinicians. So they should be prepared to identify the possibility of the terrorist attack. So they should be trained and given necessary information regularly. And then they report it to the public health authorities. So public health authorities should be also prepared for the epidemiological surveillance of that. Then after some stage, it forms some clinical events. The law enforcement, to say, authorities like police or the firefighters should to have the ambulance, and they should be also alert of that possibility. So we have to start today to have this type of preparedness. Then also in parallel, the production of necessary vaccines should start.
Dr. Kitamura, you have for long suggested of a possible bioterrorist attack by use of smallpox virus. Now that is such an awful picture, I don't even want to imagine it. But why smallpox?
Yes. As I have said, if we receive vaccination, we are completely protected from the possible infection. We are quite safe in handling the smallpox virus, including dispersing it in the outside. So the smallpox virus will form a very, an ideal candidate for the weapon development. Then we can cultivate the smallpox virus very easily. Even the graduate school students or medical laboratory may master it within 1 month. It's quite easy. And we can get very cheaply. So, to say the poor people's nuclear weapon.
And I thought mankind has tried so much to eradicate the disease.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly hope that terrorist attacks on Japan will never happen, but whether it does or not, we certainly need to be prepared.
I sincerely hope that.
I see. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you very much.